Hi guys, and welcome to another video in quick succession, of course, right after SummerSlam. Yes, I thought I'd be back, come back, with a boxing prediction video. Yes, another boxing video. So yes, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that every now and then, if there's a big boxing event coming up, then I might do a prediction video for it. You know, I did Jake Paul's last fight with Ben Askren. I did Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather. The rematch of Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder 2 years ago, or last year. So yeah, and I'm back now with to do another prediction video for an upcoming fight this weekend. Yes, Jake Paul's next big fight. Yes, up against Tyron Woodley. Yeah, and this is a pretty big fight. It's been in the news. It's been on a lot on YouTube the last while. Like obviously, it's been promoted by Showtime, who are a big boxing promotion company in America. They do all the big fights, but now they're promoting this fight. BT Sport are showing it here in the UK. And yeah, it's a pretty big fight. I think this is Jake Paul's biggest test in his career as a professional boxer so far. Tyron Woodley is he's certainly no slouch. Of course, I highly recommend that you go and watch the Showtime All Access documentary. Like they always do that for their big fights. But yeah, it's like a 40-minute documentary on Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley, and they're both for their camps and all that. It's great watch. It really gets you hyped for the fight. So yes, it is taking place this weekend, and I'm anticipating this fight. I'm looking forward to it. Probably the most for Jake Paul's fight so far, because in all his previous fights so far, you're like, yeah, Jake Paul's win, easy. Like, well, maybe not Gib. I was kind of rooting for Gib in that fight, but yeah. So yeah, of course, this is his fourth pro fight now. He's beaten Anison Gib, sadly, a while back now. Nate Robinson, which was a bit of he knocked him out. Ben Askren earlier on this year, which, you know, Ben Askren can't punch, so I predicted Jake Paul for that fight, whatever, in the first round, and now he's going up against, everyone says, his first proper true test now against the UFC Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer, definitely, UFC legend, Tyron Woodley. This guy is no slouch, so I'll go over the stats in a minute. So, yes, and also on the undercard, we have Tommy Fury, and Daniel Dubois on the undercard. That's crazy for Jake Paul's big. That's how big Jake Paul's gotten now. He can bring in the big money. Well, I know it's been promoted by Showtime. They're probably promising nice big fat paychecks for everyone. But Tommy Fury and Daniel Dubois on Jake Paul's undercard. That's mad. But yeah. So I'll start with both fighters, of course. So Jake Paul, we all know what he's like now. You know, he's Marmite. You love him or you hate him. I don't like the guy as a personality, even though I feel like that's just his YouTube personality. I feel like he's a very different guy behind the scenes, but that's just the way he presents himself on YouTube and in interviews and all that. It's his celebrity personality. I'm sure he's a very different guy behind the scenes. You know, and you got to give him credit for this boxing. You know, he's taking it more and more seriously now. Each and every fight he has. But people keep saying, you know, he's still not fighting boxers. He's fighting basketball players, YouTubers, and retired MMA fighters. And you know, he's fighting another MMA fighter here in Tyron Woodley. But if he can get past Tyron Woodley, then I think people have to start giving him credit, because Tyron Woodley's he's a killer. You know, at one point he was one of the best ever, probably mixed martial art fighters on the planet. At one point, Tyron Woodley, he's no slouch. Yeah, he may be 39 now, but he's still. If Jake Paul can get past Tyron Woodley with a convincing win, then I think people have to start giving him credit, me included, personally, even though he's still not a boxer. This still is a tough fight for him in his fourth professional fight. Yeah, so I've noticed with Jake, he likes to come out strong. You know, his last two fights, he pretty quickly dispatched Ben Askren in one round with that one punch. Ben Askren went down, even though I'm convinced Ben Askren was paid to take a fall. Because you saw Ben Askren after the fight, he was backstage with his wife going, like he didn't give a crap. He just got paid loads of money, but whatever. And then he knocked out Nate Robinson. He TKO'd Anison Gib. So yeah, will he do the same to Tyron Woodley? That's the question. Can he do the same to Tyron Woodley? Can he dispatch Tyron Woodley as quickly as he did dispatch Ben Askren and his previous opponents? It's going to be interesting. This is a very interesting fight, because you've got Jake Paul does have knockout power. We've seen that now. He's a big guy. He's got a big punch. He's training camps very seriously. He's being trained by BJ Flores, who's a very renowned boxing trainer. I've seen a lot of his videos, sparring videos, his training camp. He's taking it very seriously. You know, hate Jake Paul like he's got a great work ethic. He worked his ass off in training camp, and he looks like a beast right now. He really does. As much as I don't as I don't really like the guy, you can't deny his work ethic as a boxer. How much more better he's getting in these last 3 years. You know, he's taken over KSI and Logan Paul is like the big YouTube boxer now. Even though Logan Paul faced Floyd Mayweather, whatever that fight was. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how, if and when he can how quickly he can beat Tyron Woodley. Yeah. So Tyron Woodley, the guy is no slouch. Like I said, this is Jake Paul's first big test as a boxer now, because Tyron Woodley, he's going to bring it. I think. I don't think he's just going to take a punch or just go down straight away. Like, of course, Tyron Woodley, he's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. His mixed martial arts record, he had 27 fights, 19 wins, 7 losses, but no, 19 wins, 7 by knockout, 5 by submission, 7 by decision. So yeah, the guy is good, to say put it the least. Of course, he's a former welterweight champion in the UFC, and he held that belt for several years. He had several defences of the welterweight championship, beating people like Wonderboy Thompson, Liverpool's Darren Till, Damian Maia. He had some big defences. Obviously, then he lost the belt to Kamaru Usman, who's like one of the best welterweights on the planet right now. No shame in that. But the guy he's a killer, you know. And some of his performances in the UFC were brutal. Like he's had some big KO wins. He's got hands. Unlike Ben Askren, he can punch. He can bring it. You know, he's got striking ability. Unlike Ben Askren, who you just can't punch for anything. He just completely went down. But Tyron Woodley, I think, is going to put up a fight. He's going to last. I think he'll last a few rounds against Jake Paul. This won't be 1 or 2 rounds. I do think this is going to go several rounds. I think Tyron Woodley will be able to take Jake Paul's punches early on. The question is, who will gas out earlier? That's the big question right now. Who is going to gas out earlier? And of course, Tyron Woodley is 39 years old. That's what people are saying. He's probably past his best now. He's probably not in his prime anymore. His last 4 fights in the UFC, he lost all 4 of them. But 2 of them were to Usman and Covington. Probably two of the best in the UFC at the minute. So there's no shame in losing to those 2. And yeah, he put up a fight in quite a lot of those fights. And 3 of the fights went 5 rounds. He did go 5 rounds with Covington and Usman. The guy's no slouch, so I don't think he's worried about going a few rounds with Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley. And yeah, obviously Jake Paul does have the height, weight, and reach advantage. He's just the bigger guy. It's as simple as that. You know, Jake Paul is 15 years younger. He's a few inches taller, Jake Paul. Tyron Woodley actually, I believe, is heavier. This is the weigh-in sheet. Tyron Woodley actually is a stone heavier. Maybe that's just pure muscle, but maybe it'll be a bit different for the fight weight for the weigh-in this weekend. Jake Paul has a 2-inch reach advantage. It's going to be interesting. It's a very interesting, intriguing fight, this, because if Jake Paul comes out strong, I think Tyron Woodley's just going to be in for a rough night. But if Tyron Woodley comes out strong, we've seen it. He does have striking ability, like we've seen in some of his UFC fights. If he comes out strong, then Jake, and he catches Jake early, and Jake catches Jake off guard, then yeah, this could be a war. This could be a 4-5 round battle. We will see. So the fight, I believe, is 8 rounds, isn't it? For 3-minute rounds. Tyron Woodley's going to show up. He's going to be in shape. The guy's in great shape. You know, unlike Ben Askren, who showed up to the weigh-in with a dad bod. I think Tyron Woodley's in great shape. I've seen the training camp. He's taking this seriously. You know, what I've noticed about Tyron Woodley is he's taking this seriously. Unlike his previous opponent, Jake Paul's previous opponent, where they just turned up for the paycheck. Tyron Woodley's taking this seriously. He trained a bit with Floyd Mayweather. He's got himself his own boxing coach. He's been in quite a competitive training camp. Watched on the Showtime documentary. He's taking this seriously, Tyron Woodley, because he doesn't want to lose to Jake Paul. You know, Ben Askren already took that L, so I don't think he wants to join Ben Askren, Tyron Woodley. So he's going to really give this his all. But okay, it's going to be intriguing. Who have I got to win this fight? Jake Paul. I think Jake Paul will prevail. It'll be longer than his previous fights. I think this will be his hardest fight yet. I can see this going several rounds. But probably 4th, 5th round perhaps, but I do think Jake Paul will prevail eventually. I just think he has the experience, he's got youth, this is his 4th pro fight now, this is Tyron Woodley's pro boxing debut at 39, even though he is a UFC legend. You know, he's only had 2-3 months to train, whereas Jake Paul's been doing this for years now, so I just think, you know, Tyron Woodley, how good can he transition from MMA to boxing with only a few months to train? You know, it takes years to become a really good boxer. It takes years. Look at Jake Paul, his progression in the last 3 years. I can't see Tyron Woodley, even though he's worked hard in this training camp, I just think he's probably going to gas out, or Jake Paul might just keep kind of get the jab and boom, boom, get the overhand rights in. And I do think he's going to frustrate and annoy Tyron Woodley. And I think if Tyron Woodley just comes rushing in, Jake Paul might catch him. That's what happened against Ben Askren. That's what happened against Nate Robinson and Gibb. So I just think if Tyron Woodley does that as well, Jake Paul will catch him. And will he drop? I don't think Tyron Woodley will get knocked out. I just think the fight will get stopped by the ref, a referee stoppage or a TKO. I don't see Jake Paul knocking Tyron Woodley out. No. Yeah, I've got Jake Paul to win via TKO in the, I'm going to say 5th round. I think it'll go several rounds. This is Jake Paul. It's his big test, and we can also start giving him credit because he's just beaten a UFC legend in Tyron Woodley, a guy who's no slouch. But I just think Tyron Woodley, and we'll just have too much for him. But if Tyron Woodley does win, that'll be great. I think it'll be a big upset. We will see. Isn't it mad? Tyron Woodley, like when he was the welterweight champion, Jake Paul was goofing around with Deji. And now look at them. Now Jake Paul's fighting Tyron Woodley several years later. It's crazy. It's crazy how quickly Jake Paul's gone whoop up the boxing spectrum. If and when Jake Paul wins this fight, people are saying the next fight is going to be Tommy Fury, which will be a big fight. You know, Jake Paul's finally fighting an actual pro boxer now in his next fight, because Tommy Fury's on the undercard fighting Jake Paul's sparring partner. I think Tommy Fury should win that. And the next fight might be a face-to-face after the fight, because I think that's going to be a big fight, Tommy Fury and Jake Paul, if and when Jake Paul beats Tyron Woodley. I'm just assuming Jake Paul's going to win. Tyron Woodley might pull off a shock win. And I've heard there is a rematch clause, so if Tyron Woodley does pull off like a shock KO win, if he comes out strong and catches Jake, then apparently Jake can get a rematch. So this could be a 2 boxing feud between these two if Tyron Woodley does pull off the shock win. But I don't see it, sadly. I think Jake Paul will have too much for him, sadly. I just think Jake Paul's got the experience. And I think Tyron Woodley, being 39, he might gas out quite early. Although, like I said, I say he could gas out. He did 5, his last few fights in the UFC went 5 rounds, and UFC fights go 25 minutes. So, yeah, he's got a gas tank, Tyron Woodley, but the question is how quickly will he gas out against Jake Paul? And Jake Paul, how well will he do now? This being his first big test, where he's not just going to, I think, dispatch this guy with one KO in the first or second round. This will go several rounds. It'll be rough and tough, but I do see Jake Paul prevailing. And then the next fight will be him versus Tommy Fury, probably next year, and that'll be a big fight. UK versus England, the Furies versus the Pauls. That'll be a big fight. So yeah. What are your predictions, guys, for this weekend? Of course, I also see Daniel Dubois and Tommy Fury winning their fights too. Yeah. But anyway, what are your predictions for this weekend, guys? Are you going to be watching it? I'll watch the highlight. I'll watch the highlights on Monday. But yeah, who do you got? Have you got Jake Paul winning or Tyron Woodley winning? Comment below. Let me know. So thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you all very soon.